Squatch and Holler. Please like and subscribe.
And hit that bell.
Hey,
Hey, Roger, how's it going?
going good. It's deja vu all over again. It's like
I know, it's almost like, maybe we just did this recently or something.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Hello from Houston. Hey, Leah, some of y'all noticed you don't have blue wrenches. We had some issues going on. They'll be added back slowly. So nobody did anything wrong. I'm testing something. So anyway, thank y'all for coming in. Had a good time last night.
Yeah, that was
Very
really, really cool.
very informative. It's fun. It's fun, like to show people that sometimes you actually can catch evidence of, so to speak, but you got to be where it's at, right? So we have to drive, maybe
Mhm.
20 minutes or whatever. But our guests tonight are not so lucky. They live with them, and like Greg, and Greg tells me all the time, there's a few people in our circle, and PJ and Paul are in our circle. They're part of the family. He feels for them because he knows what they're going through, and it's gotta be like, I've walked out of Greg's house at 2 a.m. and like stepped out on the porch and said, "Hey, y'all, we're just going to the truck. We're leaving. Please don't throw a rock and hit us or something."
Please don't like bluff charge me. I'm just trying to go to the
Yeah,
truck right now.
right. Yeah, and that's not being funny. It's just
I
they're
believe
there.
it.
They're there, and you some people may think, talking to Bigfoot, but I feel like it's at least let them know your intention. The
Mhm.
people that the people that we know. I haven't talked to PJ and Paul very, very little, but I've watched them talk about this stuff.
Mhm.
And what they have in common with Greg and Flat Rock, and it's not with us. It's like, oh my God, that was such a spike of adrenaline or whatever. And then you get to drive 4 hours home.
Oh,
You're not in the yard with like these our guests, like they are, like Greg and all them. So anyway,
mhm.
it's gonna be hold on, y'all. Amanda, can you take over? Somebody's ringing the doorbell. Sorry.
Yeah, I got it. So, while Roger's doing that, honestly, this is my first time meeting PJ, Pam, and Paul. So yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring them on in. So nice to meet you guys. We didn't get really much of a chance to meet each other backstage prior to the show because I was riding the struggle bus a little bit. And
Good to meet you.
so apparently it sounds like you guys live with these things then, more or less.
Yep. Yeah, and we didn't even realize I was here for a long time. We hunted here, I don't know how many years before we bought, 40 of the 80 acres, and we'd have strange things happen, that, we didn't realize really what was going on. So
Gotcha. And when you say hunted, I'm assuming you're meaning like recreational type hunting, not like hunting Bigfoot kind of thing.
yeah, deer hunting. So
Yeah, gotcha.
Sorry, y'all. My dogs were going crazy. Somebody locked somebody out. I'm not going to say I was involved in that, but
you're on the struggle bus too tonight, Roger.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, thank y'all for being here. Amanda, thanks for taking over.
And you're good.
And it's always fun. It's like, you know, Amanda knew y'all were coming on or whatever, but it's like, no, it wasn't a Men in Black, Greg. But that's probably happened before. She doesn't know a whole lot, and we kept it that way because that's the way I like to do too,
Yeah, so
and hear the stories for the
yeah, I
first
wanted
time.
to all be fresh as I talking to you and everything like that.
So if you see anytime you see us or me or whatever, and I get goosebumps, that's why, because I probably hadn't heard the story before. But y'all, obviously you don't tell, you know, your exact location and all that, but um did when y'all, I don't know this part of the story. When y'all moved to where you were, did y'all have a home on the property, or did y'all like build fresh? And
No, we built fresh.
okay, did
It was just
did
all woods.
so was y'all might already talked about this, but
Yeah,
so
we just barely have got in here.
so was Bigfoot or any strange stuff on your radar, so to speak, before this? You know what you know?
Not in the very beginning.
Because
Yeah.
we started hunting around 2004, and we would have, you know, strange things happen, but I mean, we didn't think anything Bigfoot, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, when I understand you grow up hunting and you hear a noise, and you know, you're learning, and you may not know what it is, but there are enough cows and bigger animals around, you know, you just write it off to that. But then sometimes you think about it, and you know you don't have cows, and you know you don't have horses, but the neighbors might, and they may, you know, the fences, you know, you don't. But then you go back and think about this after years of dealing with things, and you're like, well, what about back in 19 whatever or 2000 when that happened?
So that's what that noise I heard was.
Right.
It wasn't the cow. It was actually one of these things.
Yeah. So I'm assuming the weird stuff was happening, but you wasn't like in tune with it. What was the, and I think I know this, but what was the second that y'all knew what you were dealing with?
Probably the corral. I would, or the gifting.
well, I was still. I mean, we had several different things that happened.
I really didn't know until you seen that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was I mean, you know, even with all the stuff, I found tracks out in the yard. You know, I'm like, you know, are these things really real? I mean, but
Yeah.
You know, we were suspicious, I guess, for several years. You know, his brother even seen something in the creek, you know, before we bought the property. But for me, I mean, you know, there was no doubt, you know, the day I seen it. But there was just so much stuff going on that couldn't be explained.
And for the
you
people that don't know, you know, what you're talking about, can you kind of explain to them when you talk about your country like me? Stuff is a lot of things. And so, and I do that. I'll say, you know, we had stuff going on. So tell them kind of what kind of stuff was, I can't not use it, that was going on that, before before you saw it.
Oh boy.
Well, about 2 years in, after we started hunting here, was when I found the first set of tracks during November. It was during November rifle hunt, and I was walking down the trail, an old logging trail, going to my stand there in the power line, and there was 5 tracks in a row there, and you know, looked like somebody walking barefooted to me. You know, I couldn't really see the toes on it. But I knew nobody was out there because the old man that owned the property, he didn't allow anybody back in here, you know. And it was really fresh, like, I mean, super, super fresh tracks. It made me wonder if they was right in front of me, you know.
Were they in mud or in debris or anything?
No, it was in mud. It was in mud.
Okay.
There was a little stretch where I guess he drove his tractor down that way to go bush hog, you know. So back then the path had you know, trail on each side of the path where the wheels run, you know. And there's a little strip of mud there, and that's what it run through. It wasn't sloppy mud. It wasn't watery mud. It was just mud, you know.
Yes,
so
sir.
it's a really good impression of the foot. And they was in a straight line. They wasn't offset like a human walks. They was directly in a straight line, you know.
Yep. You hear that a lot of these things. They
And
walk perfect
and y'all,
in a
that's
straight
that
line.
that's something like hunters notice, because when you it's like when you hunt and track things or whatever, even like if you're not in that situation where you're hunting, you notice like when the kids are playing in the snow, you know, and you're out playing, and a hunter, you know, sometimes you're like, oh well, look, look how the stride is, you know.
Well, see, and
And
I didn't know anything about that back then.
right.
I just knew it was odd that
Mhm.
they were in a straight line like that, you know.
Yep. Stood out to you. Yep.
And nothing, you know, I didn't know anything about Bigfoot back then. We didn't have YouTube. Probably didn't even have cable TV back then.
So, did you say how large you thought they were?
I think
Guesstimation.
it's probably, I could see probably about 8 inches of the foot because I
Okay.
couldn't make out the toes on it. It was just
Okay.
like right behind the toes to the heel.
Right. So, what goes through your head at that point, being out in the woods and seeing something that's not supposed to be there like that? Because I mean, you obviously you look at it. I've been there. You're like, well, that ain't a cow. It ain't a horse. It ain't you. You're
Right.
ruling out all these things. So I know how
Start
it
trying to
feels. But
rationalize what it could
yeah,
be.
It didn't look like I mean, I said it, you know, kind of looked like a human foot. It did not because the human foot has the inset on the inside, you know, the
Mhm.
curvature. These was just healed out and V forward wider, you know. So
Yep.
I didn't really know what to think. I do remember I had a little flip phone, and I remember taking a picture of them, but I had no clue where those pictures went. And
I've
I
got old
didn't
phones.
look them up or anything like that. I just got pictures of them, you know.
I've got old phones here that I hadn't used in 20 years or better, and they've probably got pictures of like mountain lion tracks with my knife folded out, you know, and that's why I saved them, and I have no idea where the chargers are, and wouldn't even know how to pull them off of there. So yeah, and people are so hyper focused on evidence, and they'll like, well, why didn't Paul cast them, y'all? This is
I
this is
didn't know
new, right?
I didn't know nothing about casting tracks back then.
Well,
Right.
I still don't. 99.9% of the people don't know that. And
Yeah.
and everybody's like, well, we need evidence. We need evidence. Okay. Well, Paul has just told you what these tracks look like, how big they are. They don't match anything else. And something was there to make that he's never seen before. So let's, you know, I understand you could cast 1,000,000 tracks and we're still gonna have the same conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So, but I like to get into because I've been through some of this, like the emotion kind of, and I know PJ gets tore up sometimes because she's had some scary, scary events. Did you come back and tell her like, hey, I found?
I think I did show her the tracks.
But you know, that was in 2004 or 5. So.
We didn't know anything. Wasn't even thinking about Bigfoot back then. You know?
Quick question: do you guys have like bears or anything down there in that neck of the woods? Because I know a lot of people try to attribute the smallerish Sasquatch prints to being a bear instead. So
there are a few bear around. I've never seen.
I've never seen.
I've hunted bear for 20-something years. I know.
Yeah, you would know what a bear looks like exactly.
It was not bad.
And
good. I was just really bringing that up for the naysayers.
Well, yeah, it's like it kind of insults your intelligence. Now, look, I welcome all questions. If I'm telling you something, I welcome all questions. But this is what irritates me. I went through this for years. Mountain lions came into the area. I've seen 17. I've had 17 sightings of mountain lions, but some of them were the same one, you know, in the same area. But when I would tell people, I'm like, yeah, well, it was about this long, and the tail was 3/4 of the length, and they're listening, and they're like, are you sure it wasn't a bobcat? I'm like, wait, what story are you listening to? I just told you the tail was almost as long as this cat,
Right.
and
Yeah.
but they always would go to that because they were hunters of the area too, and it scares people
Yeah.
to know that usually we're used to going in looking at the game trail, or we're looking at other things. Now wait a minute, we might have to start looking up in this beech tree
Yeah.
to make sure something ain't going to jump out on us. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just trying to paint the picture, y'all. PJ and Paul are like the rest of us. They live, kind of out in the country and hunt and living their lives, and this stuff just appears. They just happen to pick a spot where these things are.
I think we just moved in where they hang out.
I wonder if anybody knew that was selling the place.
I
don't think
I don't think so.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. And you've never had anything like this
Roger,
happen before?
are y'all glitching on your end, or is it just on my end here?
I think it's yours. You're kind of pixelating. You want to leave and come back in and see if it helps? I don't know if did you hear us? Let me send her a message. Leave and come back in and see if it helps. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, leave. And there she got it. She got it. So and what I'm doing, I'm just setting up because there's always a beginning, no matter what it is, and it's usually accidental. It's usually sometimes you have stuff happen, and it's like you didn't, like you said, you don't recognize it until like PJ sees the one. So, you want to get into what you were doing?
Thanks, Larry.
Amanda looked glitchy. She did. She's good now.
It's good. Glad to know it was on my end, because all of a sudden everything. It was like you were underwater and stuff, and I'm like, is it just me? Is what's happening? And so yeah, okay, good to know. It was on my end.
I keep thinking I got some of Abby's marshmallow in my mustache, but it must be something else. But
and it's funny when you say Abby, because Abby's the name of my cat. That's usually the one making all the sound in the background.
Abby the tabby.
She is a tabby.
So PJ, let's fast forward. Now you got all this stuff going on, and you're probably on alert. I've heard this story. Tell Amanda and the people that haven't heard what was going on and what happened.
The day of my
yes, ma'am.
Well, it's kind of a several day process. It was in June of 2021, and it was on a Monday. I had went out, got in the swimming pool, and I was, just floating around, and I happened to look down. There's like a little pathway, and there was cedar trees on both sides, and then it kind of opens up into a field. Well, out there in that field, it's surrounded by woods, and then there's the creek to the right. Actually, before that, I heard a whistle that came from across the power line. And then a little bit later, I heard the whistle on our property in these woods. Well, I was laying there, and I just happened to look down there. I seen some like reddish brown sticking out of the woods. And it looked, to me like a head and a shoulder, And I thought, what in the world, And so I laid there. I watched it for, several minutes, and it never moved. I thought, well, I'm going to float over and get a drink and then float back and see if it's still there. And so that's what I did. And I was trying to watch, but there were some branches from the cedar tree that got in the way. But when I floated back, it was gone. And I was like, okay. And then that night we sat out front, and we heard a knock come from back in there. And then Wednesday night we was sitting back outside, and we heard a knock. And then from the other side of the house, we heard it would sound like a really deep, rough sneeze. It was crazy. I mean, Paul even heard it. It wasn't a deer. We've heard deer, sneeze, and this was just like a really deep. And he got up and actually went and looked, but the woods were dark, and you couldn't see into the woods or anything. But the next day, I needed to get back out there and clean the pool.
Mhm.
And so as I walked outside to my left, you got to understand we're surrounded by woods.
Mhm.
So I walked past my car, and then to my left, I heard a grunt. And so
And
I
is during the day?
yes,
Okay,
and
good. Just making sure I was-
yeah, and so I looked, I didn't see anything. So I had to go down these little stairs to get down to the ground level. I
Mhm.
went down the stairs, and I had a little tray at that time. I got a deck now, but back then all I had was this little tray that hung on the side of the pool that I put my
Mhm.
stuff on. And I always carry protection out there with me.
I
And I laid
don't blame you.
and I laid everything on that, and I got in the pool. And as soon as I got in, I heard that grunt again. I was looking around, couldn't see anything. And then my swimming pool is right beside a little carport thing where he parks his truck, and the
Mhm.
roof kind of comes down a little bit over the sides, and that kind of comes into play here in a few minutes.
Mhm.
Well, so I started cleaning the pool, and then I heard what sounded like metal hitting metal,
Hmm.
and I was looking around, and then at some point I heard, I don't know if it was a tree falling or a tree limb falling, but it was just a loud crash. And this
Mhm.
was, I had been cleaning for a while when all this stuff was taking place, and I was getting nervous. And I thought, well, I'm going to make one more swipe back around the top, and I'm getting out.
Mhm.
Um, so, and then at this point, I'm going to say, I believe 100% in guardian angels, 100%.
Amen.
And I've heard mine, speak to me before, and it actually
Mhm.
saved my life or my children,
Mhm.
and this would have made the fourth time.
Hmm.
This is where it gets me, y'all.
Yeah. And you said you were in, so you just again, I'm a visual person, so as anybody's talking, I'm always trying to visualize it in my head. So you
Mhm.
were actually in your pool as you were cleaning it, so you weren't like on the outside of it or anything.
I was in the pool, and I'm really short, so the pool comes up to right here on me. So,
Oh, bless you.
uh, but anyways, so I was gonna make the last swipe around, and as I came around, I just happened to look up, and it was probably about 40 yards away, and
Mhm.
20 being like the yard and driveway, and then maybe 20 up into the woods.
Mhm.
It was standing there.
Oh, gracious.
And
Mm.
I just remember when I looked at it, um, I heard my angel speak to me, and she said, "Don't look at it."
Mhm.
And so I just turned, I looked back at the water. Um, my mind was like, I got to get out of this pool. I got to get out of this pool.
Mhm.
And so
That's
I
all I'm
went,
thinking is, if you're in that pool and so you can't
yeah.
run away real quick because
Yeah.
you're in the water.
And I was like 15 foot away from the ladder. So,
Mhm.
Oh no.
yeah. And so I looked back down at the water, and I took a couple of steps, and I was trying to look up underneath that carport, because the top of it kind of comes down over the sides, and
Mhm.
there was some stuff stacked up, right there. I couldn't see up there. I didn't know if it was coming towards me. And I was kind of bending down. I was trying to look and walk at the same time.
Mhm.
And then, so I looked back up towards the ladder, and I don't remember getting out of my own pool.
Mhm.
The next thing I remember, I was standing on those steps, and I was looking around, and I remember scanning. I remember the feeling of terror. I can
Mhm.
remember that. And I was scanning, looking for it. But it was like everything was foggy, and
Mhm.
it was a bright sunshine, sunshiny day, but I was seeing fog. And the
Mhm.
only way I can kind of describe how I felt was like how when you're coming out of anesthesia,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that feeling.
Mhm. That
Yep.
you're groggy and
Yeah.
everything's
Mhm.
disoriented and
Trying to figure out where you are and what just happened,
Yeah.
kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Wait a minute, there's a loss of time here somewhere in all of
Yep.
this.
But anyways, and I don't know how much time I lost because I always tried to plan it out to where when I would get in the pool, I would have enough time to come in, shower off, and come down and get supper going before he gets home. So I came in, and I remember standing there at the door. I locked the door. I remember that. And then I remember I got in the shower because I remember I was in there thinking, what happened? What has happened?
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize the time loss at this point. I was just going over in my mind what I seen, But when I come down, he was coming through the door. So that would put, if everything lined up like I usually do it, I could have been running late that day. I don't know. I lost probably 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, gracious.
What happened? Yep. I don't know. And, and when I looked up and I seen it, I estimate it to be about 8 foot tall. And it was at least 4 foot wide at the shoulders. And the shoulders didn't like slant. They were just, it was the head, it was a rounded head. And the shoulders just went straight out. And it looked like that it had taken its hair and just pulled it over its face. It was crazy. I couldn't see the face. I could see the pec muscles in the chest. Had big arm muscles. It tapered at the waist. I could see the right side better. The sun was hitting it on that side. And the right thigh I could see it. I could see the knee, and I could see part of the top of the calf. And I could see the other side as well, but it was, shaded on that side. And I just remember the hair hanging off of its arm because it had its arms bowed out like it was going to charge. I never seen it move. I never seen this thing move. But I remember the hair blowing in the wind. And the only skin I could say that I seen was the hand, and it was black.
Yeah. Gracious. That's terrifying, Garland. Gracious.
What? So the sun shining on the hair, what color mostly was the hair in the sun?
In the sun, it was like it was a reddish brown, but where the sun would hit it, it looked more red. It was more red. And I don't remember if there was anything. I guess, of course, the sun made it look brighter, but it was just a deeper, almost an orangey red where the sun hit it,
Yeah, and that you're telling about the hair over the face. Our buddy Mark Green, the first one he saw, the same thing. Looked like it had pulled it down, like trying to hide the face.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that in several different encounters from people.
Really.
And the shagginess of the hair as well. I've heard that from some other witnesses.
This one right here, it was well groomed. There was no dirt, leaves, sticks. It literally looked brushed.
Wow.
And just and as far as the hair on the body, I don't know how long it was. I didn't see any like sticking out like it would have been short and sticking out. It literally laid flat on its body because I could see the muscles, in the chest, really good, and in the arms,
So it wasn't like the hair was long and well groomed, but it wasn't like so thick that like you could still make out muscle mass and definition and stuff like that to it.
Yeah. It was like the hair was just laying flat on it, it was that well groomed, it was crazy.
Got a couple questions. Debbie, did you think it scared you, like to the point where you might have blacked out a little bit, or just, which it's hard to know.
Yeah, it's hard enough, which I think if I would have blacked out, I would have drowned.
Right. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Because somebody had asked me that before, and I said, well, I would think if I would have passed out, I probably would have drowned. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what putting hair over their face. Um, I feel like from the witnesses that I've talked to, I don't know if Amanda feels the same way, that it seems like it's a planned thing to keep you from seeing, trying
I
to
kind of agree as
trying to
well.
stay hid. Yeah.
Either
Um,
just to stay hid or maybe almost in the same way that, burglars and other bad people, put a mask on or to hide their face or their identity.
Mhm.
So
and
just
this,
just a
yes.
just a theory.
Oh yeah, and the stance, when she's talking about the stance, you ever caught your kid in a cookie jar? You know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? It almost sounded like it was like in a ready to bolt type situation, or do I need to? And I've seen a few things myself, like the one I saw last year and a half ago or so. It was in a stance where one foot was pointed at 12 o'clock and the other one was out at 2 o'clock, like just in case it needed to make a move, and it's funny what your mind does,
Yeah.
because you see the size and you see stuff. And I love this, y'all. When Pam says, um, it's like it was groomed, like it was brushed, like you're in this whole thing of fear going on, and you pick out this one thing, and you're like, later, you're like, why did I notice that? Out of all this
It's
stuff that's going
amazing what
on.
the adrenaline dump will do to your body and to your
Yeah,
mind. I mean,
yeah,
it's all of that. Your body does that for a reason, and like you said, and you had your guardian angel there to help you. It's
Well,
like I said, it's
and
fascinating what your mind remembers, those tiny details.
and that's what makes me think that I was in danger, because that had made the fourth time I had heard her. First time, um, it helped me to avoid a head-on collision with a car going about 100 miles an hour.
Mm,
The second time, uh, it saved my daughter's life. Uh, so I mean, when I heard it, I knew who it was. I say the
mhm,
first, actually no, the first time I heard it, I was 12 years old, and I had something really bad happen to me.
mhm.
Um, I was bleeding to death.
Oh, gracious.
I had lost so much blood that I couldn't even hear anymore, and I couldn't
mm,
see. And
Mm,
that's the first time I ever heard her, and she is what kept me awake.
mhm,
It was her telling me stay awake, and there was
mhm.
no female there. It was, but anyways, so it
I
wasn't
got
like
g
a female.
I got goosebumps, if can I call you PJ?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
I'm bad with names, and I've already, like, gave you that, and I might say something way off the wall, but, you're telling this,
Mhm,
and we all have these experiences, whatever. The story that I had everybody laughing about when I was on fire,
mhm,
I didn't hear the voice, but I felt the cold fingertip touch me right here,
mhm,
Mm,
and I was on fire and froze,
mhm,
accepted death, all that. I done went through all of that.
mhm,
And so that I feel like that was a guardian angel that touched me here, and
mhm,
my body reacted and went that way to safety. So when you're telling this, I don't know, if everybody has experienced something like that, but usually it's in time of extreme
mhm.
fear or trauma. It's not like fear, it's like when it's serious, when it's like you're either gonna step across the line and not be here anymore, or you
Yeah.
got a
mhm,
chance. So yeah,
Mhm.
oof.
Well, that's how it was, when that happened to me when I was 12. And she just kept telling me, "Stay awake, stay awake." She literally said, "If you go to sleep, you're not going to wake up."
Wow.
And I just kept fighting the urge to just let go.
Just
And
let go. Yep.
mhm,
and but and then the second time was with my kids in the car. And then the third time was when um, he was working on the roof of the house, and he had a big roll of tar paper up there, and it was a fine. It wasn't even windy, but Paul said keep her away from the house, and she'd went over by the porch to get a toy, and which was he was at the other, over here. He was over here, and then she was over here,
mhm.
and then that voice says, "Get your daughter." And so I went over and I grabbed her, and I just turned and walked off, and for some reason there was a gust of wind came and blew that tar paper, and it rolled and landed right where she was standing. So I mean, so when I heard her that day in the pool, she said, "Don't look at it." I just zoomed right back to the water like I didn't even see it.
So you're right then to assume that
I
with
was
the
in danger
the other 3 times was she was taking care of you, and this time
Yes.
same thing. Like don't.
Mhm.
Well, that's good advice, y'all, too, because
Yeah.
when I ran up on the bear in Gatlinburg that time, like just a few feet away by accident,
Oh,
of course.
gracious.
He was hungry and standing up, and he was shaking the thing, and so all this stuff goes through my mind, and I'm like, everything I've ever read about hunting and fishing and field and stream and all that, it was kind of before the internet. I'm like, is it not look at a gorilla in the eye, or is it like don't do this, or do you have a Snickers in your pocket? All this stuff's going on, and I said I didn't know what to do, but I walked away from it, and everything was okay. But I know I didn't have anything to speak to me like that. I wished I had to kind of give me direction, but that's a scary, comforting thing, I guess. And some people that haven't had anything happen, you're lucky because when stuff like that happens, it's you see people in the chat that have, it's usually in some of the worst points of your life. So, but that makes me think, you're have you always been like sensitive to things, your surroundings, and let's say if you came to Tennessee and we went to somebody's house to eat and we're all getting together and you walk in and it's haunted, would you feel like, would you kind of have the creepy feel, so to speak, or you get
Well,
that?
Yeah.
Paul said she does. I like it.
It's come out to the point to where I can't even talk about it. So
Yeah.
I just keep it to myself, but it's just I've always been that way.
So-
my hubby's kind of the same way with me too. I just tell him, it's like, I say that how is it we say it to each other? There's little voices that telling me that we probably shouldn't go here, or we should do that, or we should stay home, and he doesn't even argue anymore. He's like, all right, well,
Yeah.
you say so.
Yeah. Well, this is a good question here. We've already established that PJ's sensitive to things. Now let's move to Paul. Are you, because I am and Heather's not. So are you sensitive to stuff like this, or just okay?
I mean, he has seen things. I think I think he kind of is, but he's too afraid to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion I get from him.
I can agree with you there, PJ.
It's a scary thing. Okay, so have you seen one, Paul? Have you laid your eyes on one?
I can't prove that I have. I mean, to even myself, I can't prove that I have. I think I have because I don't know what else to explain it off as.
Well, we've seen an arm in the creek. It was splashing the water back and forth.
1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and the arm. And I know it's what it had to be, but I didn't get a good enough look to definitely suggest that's what that was.
I totally understand what you're saying, because being a hunter, and you come back, I used to tell my dad, I saw a 6-pointer and he had a funny little growth here. What you report back what you see.
Right.
And there's been times where I've seen things and I've told Spencer, like, I'm mad at myself because I couldn't see. I mean, if you can see an ear or a jawline or an elbow, or you don't have to see the whole thing, but if you see enough to, and probably what you did, you saw enough to rule out a lot of stuff.
Well,
I
seen the full body.
But
oh no,
it was so far away.
Oh no.
And I was driving at the time, and so I just passed it up. And did not back up. Yeah. I should have.
Okay.
Sometimes that's a good thing, to just keep on going and just not acknowledge it's there.
I wasn't driving fast, probably 15 miles an hour.
It was just
I was still on our private drive.
Yeah.
When I seen it.
This is a good question. So, do y'all discuss this out other than with all of us that we have the same experiences or feelings? Does anybody in your community where you your friends, your family? Do y'all talk about this? And
Yeah.
what if you do? What do they think about it?
Most people believe in it
Mhm.
or have experienced something themselves.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's good. Because Greg,
That is
he
good,
was
yeah.
like, we wear sometimes, you wear your Bigfoot thing or whatever, and sometimes I don't wear anything. I don't want to, talk about it, but when I'm fishing, I'll wear a shirt or a hat or something, and some people look at you side-eyed, but
Oh, yeah.
there's others that'll approach you and like, hey,
And I've got some good friends that they don't even believe it. They just they laugh at me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know what's going on.
yep,
They don't bother me.
and
Yep.
and that's part of being confident. Like when
Mhm.
when you know what's going on, and you got the people that kind of make fun or whatever, you just
Yeah.
kind of shake your head. You're like, okay, all right. If you ever don't come to me crying when one steps out in front of you.
Yeah, I had
Right.
a nephew that we was all out here, and he just looked at me and shook his head, rolled his eyes, like
Mhm.
you are so stupid,
Mhm.
Um, and then I had a brother-in-law that told me, he said, "You did not see a Bigfoot." I'm like, "Well, then what did I see?" And he said, "I don't know what you saw, but it wasn't a Bigfoot."
Yeah. So
Yeah, but of course, I love how they always can never say, "Well, I don't know what it was, but it
Yeah.
wasn't that." I'm like,
It wasn't
Yeah.
that.
My nephew, he's very apt to see one where he lives.
Yeah, very apt.
Mhm.
So hopefully,
Yeah. So question, having seen what you saw, did you have any other experiences? You said you had experiences prior to all of
Yeah.
that with the sounds and the noises and things that they were making at you. Did you have any thought or any clue that any of that going on, did Bigfoot even cross your mind before you ended up seeing
yeah.
it?
Yeah. By that
Mhm.
time, we were, I believed, but your mind, still trying to wrap your mind around it. It's,
Mhm.
you know, when reality hits,
It
that
does.
it hits hard
It
because
really does. Yeah, even to this day, having experienced everything that I have in mind, which is very a lot of similarities already, I always just, part of that way back deep in there always wants to go, it was probably all just a dream. You still don't want to think that it was really real. And you
well,
just pretend it was, and then all of a sudden it really is real. And I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense
Well,
in
no,
words.
it does. It does because there's, you talk to a lot of people. PJ and Paul has been talking to people for a while now, and I have, and what you notice is a lot of us try to explain it away first.
mhm.
With
Mhm.
with the orb the other night, I'm like, I'm racking my brain. What could this be?
Mhm.
Other than I still don't know what it was, but you're ruling things out, and the thing is, when that's the type of people that don't want to lie to themselves. The heck with everybody else. You're
Mhm.
trying to um, make sure you're not crazy, so to speak. That's or I am. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
it didn't look like a bear. It didn't look this. It didn't, so it took me a couple weeks to admit this last one because I know how rare it is to see them.
Mhm.
And the only thing that kind of pushed me over the edge to say I believe it really was one was because I saw a man walking down the road and I saw how high the guardrail. And Paul, a guardrail as you're in a car, it don't look like it's that high, but you get up next to one, the guardrail's comes up pretty high on you. And when I saw this guardrail hit him where it did, and he was a normal sized fella, he's probably 5'9", 5'10" ish, And when I saw that, and then I had a comparison in my head in the same spot to where I'm like, no, this thing was huge. So,
Mm.
so I
Yeah, I
understand.
didn't share the bearskin rug thing for years because it was almost like a repressed memory kind of thing,
Mhm.
and, I just assumed that it was I never even thought of it being Bigfoot, and because it was so bizarre until ended up working where I'm working now and, talking to somebody else who God, I wish I could remember what it was that they said that triggered it, and
Mhm.
now I'm just like, "That makes sense as to what that thing
Mhm.
was."
And that's why it's good to talk. We talk about
Mhm,
puzzle
it
pieces.
is.
It's not like the puzzle piece is going to like prove everything. It's puzzle pieces that bring these little stories together. Like like Paul, like when he's listening to us, you might say something that's like makes sense to him from something that happened 2 years ago. That's why it's good to get it out there. And I enjoy just I would love to get out and just sit around the fire and talk about this stuff. And that's kind of why we do this. And I feel for y'all though, because I know how Greg is. I mean, like I've been there several times, and people like and look, I'm not getting calling anybody out. People are like, oh, that would be so cool to live where PJ and Paul do. Well, you think it would,
You
but
think it would be?
but
Well, it is. I love it.
yeah,
But it has changed the way I do things.
there you go.
Mhm.
Yep.
Changed my life. You know.
Yep.
And it's changed mine even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
'Cause
Have y'all
I've-
ever had any good experiences, or not, or indifferent experiences, or have they always just been unwelcoming experiences that y'all have had?
Well, I've seen them since my sighting. I've seen another one, like, from the waist up.
Hmm.
I think I've seen that reddish brown one a couple more times. He lets me know he's still around, and which is terrifying for me.
Mhm.
But I think they have gifted us before. We found it was a piece of mortar. It was in between our chairs outside. I looked down and I was like, what is this? I picked it up and it has little different colored speckles all over it. And Paul said, well, that's mortar. And at that time, we didn't have any mortar on the property,
Yeah.
And so I picked it up and put it on the ledge of the house out there. And it disappeared, came back, disappeared, and came back.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
I found a rock stack on the stairs out there after we had an outside wedding, So, and as far as now, I did, I've heard stuff like, while I was hunting, I was, what was it, last year or year before? My years run together now.
I understand.
But I was waiting on him to come get me. It was dark. He was going to come by and pick me up on the 4-wheeler. And just to my left of my deer stand is a big cedar thicket, and there was a creek right there. And then I heard something take a deep breath in, big deep breath, and then let it back out. And I knew it was there, probably 40 foot away from me.
Oh my gracious.
And I've heard, like, I was hunting again, heard mouth pop to my right, rock clacks to my left, and then a howl behind me. And so I mean, but I just make myself get out there and do this stuff, otherwise I would
Yeah.
just.
How long have you been there in this location?
We built this in 2015.
Mhm.
Y'all feel like you've been accepted, so to speak, now at this point, or by them, or is it still like they're trying to push you a little bit?
I mean, I had something come up and was tapping on my bathroom window while I was taking a shower.
Oh my God.
No, thank you.
We've had stuff hit the house. Something urinated on my car up by the door handle.
Mm-hmm.
And you found a handprint on the front.
Yeah, I found handprints on the doors on the front. But that was when we was building.
Yeah.
This other stuff has just been within the last year or two. So, but yeah, the tapping on my bathroom window while I was taking a shower, that was a bit much for me.
Yeah, that would be a bit much. Gracious.
I'm like, okay, what are
You
y'all?
heard it slap the house several times.
Yeah. Me and his sister comes and stays with me when he goes bear hunting, because I used to stay out here by myself, but I just can't hardly do that anymore. But and then I take care of our little grandson, so it's not like I can really go stay somewhere else, So she came out here and stayed with me, and both times we had activity. The first time she stayed, she saw an orb go across the yard. We heard knocks. She wanted me to take her deer hunting. I was a little concerned, but so I took her deer hunting, and we was hearing knocks and everything. And then last year when she stayed, we it was crazy because we was hearing like whistling to the left of the house. We was in the house. We could hear whistling to the left, which would have been where the carport is, and would sound like something trying to sound like an owl. And I mean, literally, it was going whoo, whoo. I mean, it wasn't no owl.
It wasn't no owl, but it was mimicking. No. Yeah.
And then my cat was out there, and he took off running. And so I went over to the window to look out that window where the owl sound was coming from. And then right across the room is another window, and I do have a security camera there. And Jeanette, his sister, said, "Oh, the cat must have set off the camera," and it wasn't even clicking in my brain. And then probably 30, 45 seconds later, I said, "What did you say about the security camera?" And she said, "I think your security camera went off." She said, "Your whole window over there lit up." And I said, "My security camera doesn't light up the whole window. It flashes." And she said, "Well, your window over there looked like a huge light in the window." So
now, just briefly, I drove all over Arkansas with my mom, and we went over to the Diamond Crater State Park. We went to Hot Springs, and we found a path from the southwest corner all the way up to the northeast corner, and traveled all that. And what shocked me, even being in Hot Springs, was the amount of quartz that they sell and dig out of, that mines you can stop in and go dig or whatever. And we're recently finding out, about me personally finding out about the energy in the quartz and a lot of that stuff. And I think y'all state has pound for pound probably some of the most in the country, and some beautiful big ones too. But
we've got a huge hill right behind the house here, and you can go up there while the sun's shining, and it just glitters.
All the rocks.
So much quartz up there,
laying all over top of the ground.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Well, even in the creek, you can go out there and the rocks are just sparkling.
Wow. I'd love to see that.
And watch the sun hit some of them, especially on that northern end up there.
It's like that in some places around here with all the quartz, and then we also have mica as well, which is highly reflective and looks like glitter sometimes in the sand.
It might be mica. I'm calling it quartz. I honestly don't know. I'm not a rock man. So
Me neither. Me neither.
I know enough to get me in trouble. That's about it.
I don't know anything about them.
And for y'all that keep giving like gifts and stuff, I see it. Thank y'all so much. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I appreciate y'all a lot.
Yes, thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Well, and at camp the other night, I had remembered something I saw on TikTok. Probably TikTok gets you in trouble.
It does.
There was rock. There was quartz everywhere. And it was Saturday night, and I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute!" I grabbed a couple pieces, went under, Kenny and all them are over there, and I said, "Turn the light off here. You've ever seen cold fire? I've seen it online. I've never done it." And I start striking those quartz rocks together, and it looks like flames coming off of it, and it's big flames too. And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And it's supposed to be cold fire, but I kept smelling a sulfury. Not you, Paul. You remember growing up and have the little cap pistols that had the red ring, the real revolver, y'all. And you remember how
I remember those myself.
y'all remember how they smelled when you actually fired them? That's kind of what this smelled like. So, I don't know, y'all. I'm not. After that happened, then we had the weird stuff. I'm not saying go out there and try that, but if you're out there one day, and you're wondering if it's quartz or not, just get in a dark spot and clack them together, and if it's cold fire, that's what it is. So it's pretty. It's really pretty. But so y'all, I mean, how do you I mean, I know it affects everything you do. We all know it does. Pam, can you enjoy your pool anymore? I mean, It just,
I mean,
you know,
when he's at home, I feel
Mhm.
better.
yeah.
But and I've made myself go back out there when he's not here. Get back in alone. I've made myself.
Face your fears type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been in there and hear knocks. I'm out there by myself. I know they're around. But
Well, you've just now started walking by yourself.
yeah, I've just now started walking by myself. You know, I mean, like walk down my drive. I used to walk down the driveway, and since my sighting, I haven't done it by myself. I just walk out in the front yard, and but I made myself go the other day down the spooky. I call it spooky trail.
Yeah.
But and so we get that strong urine top smell out here.
Yeah.
It's really strong. And that day, it was terrible. But I made myself do it.
So what, you know, of course we know what horses and cows and cats and, you know, all that, the urine, can you compare it to something similar, or is it just funky? Like it's got its own
Nasty urine.
Now it's like a
real strong male type,
like a
like a humanish. Yeah.
yes.
But a more volume, like
Yeah, and
us.
it's like if you know, I tried to explain it to somebody. It's like if you went and like took a cloth, urinated on it, set it out in the sun, and let it dry. It's like that, but like way, 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 way worse.
Yeah.
You know,
We could smell it last weekend just faintly, but sometimes it'll just knock you down. I mean,
it is so strong.
super
That's how it
strong.
was that day that I took that walk. I was like, what have I gotten myself into?
Well,
But
being hunters, have you noticed that you might smell that at certain times of year more than others, or is it just all the time? Not not all the time, but like at any time you could.
We smell it year round.
Oh, okay.
But not every day.
Yeah.
Year round.
But during the winter, you don't smell it near as much. I mean, you might just get a whiff of it here and there, but it usually starts in spring, late spring, and goes all the way through the summer into the fall. And then as fall, it kind of tapers off. You don't smell it as much.
And you know, and we know that a lot of animals do that, either marking territory or it's a mating thing. So it's probably not, you know, or maybe it's just checking y'all out and it's got to go, you know. But for it to be that much, it's
and it's every year, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like it's just happened once or twice. It's every year, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's definitely a pattern. So.
Well, and you know, y'all, Pam, y'all, they have a channel. She's starting a channel. It's PJ Arkansas.
Sasquatch.
Yeah,
Johnson
if somebody can post that link. Also, this is pretty cool too. Mark Newbill come down, and y'all did a film. I watched that. That was very, very good. I try not to watch like the story where you were telling your stories, because we've been working on this a long time. It's just been, I have a plan. I know a lot of people I want to talk to, and I tell everybody, just be patient, and and it's like the timing. You know, here's what I'm doing. I'm trying to mix regular folks having encounters like all of us, and then a little bit of the entertainment side of it, a little bit of the investigation side of it, a little bit, and I'm trying to look at this like, if I was a new person and didn't know anything, where could I go and watch and get this information and watch the next one and get that? So I'm trying to layer it a little bit, and then I'll have some shows that have the high strangeness part to it too, and I guess it's a I go by feeling sometimes, y'all, and so I had a feeling it was time for y'all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know, and I didn't want you to think I was ignoring
Listening to
you.
those feelings again.
Yeah, and
or
it's
that
like,
voice.
Well, let me tell you this. I've seen orbs with my, you know, right by these windows. He's seen them.
Can you explain those, like what they look like and what they were doing, what color they were, and have any of them been in during the day?
The one our daughter's seen.
Yeah, the one our daughter's seen.
Was during the day?
Yeah, it was in the creek. She said it was about 6 or 8 inches above the water. And when she seen it, she said it was about a little bit bigger than a baseball. And she said it was just right there in the air. And then when she seen it, it just dropped. She said it splashed the water, but then it just disappeared.
Oh,
Wow.
wow, that's
And
crazy.
how close is the creek to your house?
He's
like Stephanie. He's looking. He sees
like,
it
right there.
right there. I love
maybe 50 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
So,
maybe.
Is it a slow running creek, or do y'all have some spots where?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now during the floods, it was fast running, but
Yeah. Well, I've talked to people about the energy, the negative, positive, the negative ions and stuff like that. You've got the quartz. No telling what else you have in the ground.
we got 2 springs. We got power lines. We've got the river less than a mile away. So.
The power lines are the big.
The big
ones.
Yes.
Lines,
You have any?
we have a couple of the smaller residential lines, but we do have a big transmission line.
Have those lines been running through even before y'all built there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good travel ways for anybody, anything,
and
Um,
also it causes can cause electromagnetic frequencies that can cause high strangeness in
And
different
they also
areas.
intersect on us from different directions.
Yeah. So we got it all the way around.
wait, what did you say?
The transmission lines intersect different directions.
Oh no.
Oh, interesting.
All right, here's one more, and do you have any train tracks close by?
Not for probably about 7 miles.
But
Okay.
the Trail of Tears runs very close to our property.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yep.
Very within feet
of our property.
interesting. The Trail of Tears, unfortunately, most of it started here in our part of Georgia. So yeah, I'm familiar with all that.
And what's odd is because you have a main trail, and then you have other trails that come in, and just over here about 15 minutes from the house is part of the original Trail of Tears also. And y'all know how bad that was, and the grief, and it was horrible. But
horrible.
do y'all have any of the Native American burial mounds like we do, or that you know of?
In this area, yes.
And we're trying to include, our friends, Kenny and all of them that talk about this, and that's part of their heritage and all. I'm trying to, I talked to him for an hour and a half today, and he's trying to teach me, and we're trying to, work back and forth about some of the historical stuff and some of the I don't even know, their beliefs and things, the stories. He told me a story yesterday that, he had a really good theory. I won't get into it, but on here right now, but I'm starting to see patterns like when you said the Trail of Tears. I'm sure me and Amanda both could kind of lean forward a little bit because I never asked stuff like that. I never asked about the creeks. I never asked about, but we're finding out that where you are, we've got an idea what it looks like, and it has all the ingredients for this stuff to be happening.
And there's a river just within less than a mile from us.
Oh, good gracious!
You got water, you got electricity, you got quartz, you got native land.
I just found out 2 weeks ago that there's caves within probably a mile and a half from the house that I never knew was there.
Right. Wow.
I was talking to a guy that used to play in them.
Oh, wow.
That's y'all.
You have literally
I
all
know.
the ingredients.
My mind's blown. I wasn't expecting all that. I mean, but what's wild is if we sat here and explained to you Greg's property, Now I don't know anything about flat rocks, but we can mention a lot of the same things at Greg's. And the
Mhm.
other thing, and if you start paying attention to people who constantly have issues with these things, their land and property is similar. So I don't know what it means, but it has to mean something.
Yeah.
Mhm. Definitely one of the mysteries. Like we have some of the pieces, but we don't know what those pieces mean yet.
And I think there are people that do know, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't want us to know.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
Um,
we did get a picture of my brother seeing something that was really tall, about 8 foot tall, on
Mhm.
2 legs, walking up the creek one day, one
Mm.
afternoon while he was hunting. He didn't know what it was. He still won't say whether he just don't know what it was.
Right.
But
Right.
when we did the size comparison, he could see it from the waist up. When I stepped off in the creek and we done the size comparison, he could see me from about my shoulder up, you know. And it was solid black, walking on 2 legs, and just walked up the creek away from him. Now we got a picture last year.
Mhm. Or not this past turkey season, but the turkey season before.
About 20, maybe 35 foot from where he's seen this one.
Mhm.
And this thing, it could be a man.
The big man.
If it's a man, he's a big dude.
He's a big old boy.
Yes.
Well, we measured, Paul went out there and I lined him up, and we actually, it took the picture just about in the right spot. And we measured that whoever or whatever this was would have had to have been at least 7'3".
Wow.
And solid
It's
black.
all one color. You can see the hair coming off its head right in here.
Mhm.
You know.
Sheesh.
Um,
Yeah, man, is that something y'all share with
Yeah.
people?
Yeah,
Or?
I don't care to. It's
Okay.
I'd like
it's
to know if it
pixelated.
was.
It's pixelated.
I'd like to know what it is. You know.
Yeah.
I really do know what it is, but
Right.
I mean that's private ground right there, and
But-
they shouldn't. I mean, anybody can trespass.
Yeah.
I know. You know, but
Right.
there should have not been anyone back.
Well,
in
he
there.
actually called the landowner and asked him, and he said, "No, there shouldn't be anybody back there."
Mhm.
And this question, do you have a lot of deer on your property? Well, I'm hearing it. You have a lot of everything, right?
Yeah.
Probably
y'all
y'all
were hunting that property before you even built there. What
Yeah.
y'all said earlier.
Which now I've noticed the deer population has decreased past couple of years. I don't know if that's due to
more people
hunting or sickness. Because used to it would be nothing for there to be like 15 deer out here.
I
Mhm.
seen 7 out there last night.
But I remember last it was right before deer season. Always happens right before deer season. I looked out there and I counted 13 deer, 2 being bucks, laying in our front yard, and then 1 was by the creek, grazing. So that was 14 deer out here in our front yard. They have all this area that they can go, but they choose to lay out in the front yard under the yard light.
That reminds me of a story locally.
Interesting.
I don't remember exactly what the guy was doing. It was in Marshall County here, and he told me this last year. And are you into Bigfoot? I said, well, yeah. I mean, I kind of backed into it, kind of got pushed into it because I saw one, and because I didn't know how he was going to what he was fixing to come out with. And he said, dude, I went to, and I know him. I've been knowing him all my life, and I believe this is the way this story went. He said, I went to buy a burn barrel, which was probably just a 55-gallon barrel, and from a guy, and we're standing there talking, and I'm paying him for the thing, and these deer walk up and walk right beside me and go lay down over, just a few feet away. He's like, "Are those pet deer?" He said, "No." "Oh, okay." He said, "So they just walk up like this?" He said, "Not normally. They just come around when the Bigfoot's close by." And that guy said, "I thought of you" when he said that, and then I was like getting my barrel and getting out of there. But see, what's funny is him telling me that story. And then now I knew where you were going with that,
Mhm.
because maybe they do feel safe in your yard.
Well,
You
and that's
know,
the thing. You can like walk outside and there'll be one 20 foot out here laying down the woods. I mean, they're right there all around. Um, so it's like they feel comfortable close to the house when you think they would be the opposite.
hmm well, what's going to eat you first? You got a season, right? Bigfoot don't have a season, so
That's very true. They don't have seasons. And you just
uh,
said something completely interesting and completely totally off topic, Roger, but you said Marshall County. And I'm like,
mhm.
as long as the short time we've gotten to know each other, it's like, wait a minute. So there's a Marshall County, Mississippi and a Marshall County, Georgia. And both my husband's mother and father, they both are from his biological father, are both from Marshall County, Mississippi and Marshall County, Georgia. And you just said it's like, how did I not know that yet
It
from
blow
you?
well, and we drove
There's our
back
secret.
from Talladega National Forest. We're coming north. I didn't go the interstate, and I'm like, look, we'll take 431. We'll go through Gunnersville. Well, Gunnersville is Marshall County, Alabama.
Mm,
And years ago, I dated a girl from down there, and that was like, she thought that was so funny that she grew up in Marshall County, and I did too, but we're just different states. So,
yeah.
and I don't know who it's named after. I used to know, and it's probably the same person in each state. But um, yeah, it's it it's odd when you start getting out, or you start seeing some of the name, because Heather the other day, or it was yesterday, she's looking on Facebook and this thing popped up and it said, "Oh, there's a Bigfoot conference in Nashville." I had already seen it, and it confused me. I said, "I think that's Nashville, Indiana." She said, "Oh, it is." So you have to be careful, because growing up with my family had a store on the interstate. This quick story: back in the day when the truck drivers would get their orders where to go, I had a guy come in one time, and he said, "Hey, I need is Mooresville right down here." I'm like, "Yes, about 2 miles." And I look out on his truck, and he's got these huge poles, and I'm like, "What's that for?" He said, "That's for the new Arby's going up in Mooresville." I was like, "Yeah, that's like putting a McDonald's in Mayberry. That ain't happening." And he looked at me kind of funny, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." I said, Dude," I said, "Let me see." No, that's not and it said Mooresville, Tennessee, and it had the phone numbers totally wrong. He went to the payphone, cussed out the dispatcher, came in there and told me, he said, "I left like somewhere close to Minnesota. This was in Mooresville, Indiana, and they put a T instead of I, and I drove all the way down here."
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
God.
So those it does confuse you, because when I talk about the Chapel Hill light, I've had people say, "Wait, Chapel Hill, North Carolina? Oh no, well, Chapel Hill," and they'll name all these different states. I'm like, "No, there's a little one in Tennessee." So,
Mm.
and given directions all your life, the way we grew up, it's like you start realizing, like, wait a minute, and Tennessee's horrible, y'all. "Hey, where's Highway 64? Which one?" "What do you mean, which one?" I said, "We got 2 Highway 64s that are 30 miles from each other, north to south, and they're both running east to west." So I don't know why they did that. But anyway, getting off of the subject a little bit, but when you start learning some of the geography, um, it is kind of funny. Like a lady come in one time, and she was lost. She left Minnesota, was looking for Indianapolis. And I'm not stupid, but I sound country, so she walked in, was asking, If I stay on I-65 South, how long will it take me to get to Indianapolis?" Well, I'm assuming she knows what she's talking about, so I always like playing dumb. I said, "Indianapolis, Alabama?"
Like, if you're heading south.
Yeah, right. It was bad. It got bad. She was so lost. But anyway, um, the I love talking. I love hearing these stories, and I like the fact that you've started a channel, and that's kind of how y'all met. Uh, a lot of the group, the woodwalkers and all and everybody else too. Um, have you been shocked at the like-minded people that accept accept you in and listen and share with you? Was that because that's the thing that shocked me actually was the amount of good people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I met y'all at LBO at the meet and greet.
Yeah.
Y'all come up. I knew I was going and talking to people. And then when Paul walked up, I told Heather, you got family here because you favor some guys my dad grew up with. And I was like, oh my God, I thought I was seeing, one of them walk up, but
Oh, I forgot about that. I remember that now.
mhm. Yeah.
Now
Heather
we
was
could have shared pictures.
Yeah.
With him tonight.
But yeah,
Heather,
that's one thing though that like what Greg just said right there that
mhm.
y'all are like family. I mean, I love
Yeah.
y'all, all y'all. You know.
Look, listen. All right, I'm gonna ask you this. For the people that hadn't had a chance to be around a lot of us, I told Greg being sensitive to things and I don't like big crowds. I will be in big crowds, but I'm always watching and nervous. And
That's me.
Yeah.
when we were there, okay, good. When we were there, I told Greg that was the most comfortable I've ever been around a group of people in my life.
Exactly.
There was no anxiety. There was no head on a swivel. There was no. So? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, and see, when we got there, I mean, I didn't know. The only people that I knew their faces were like you, Greg, Misty, Spencer, Mark Newble, and Larry. The people.
Mhm.
But as far as the people in chat, I didn't know anybody, and so when I pulled up, I was a little anxious. But I mean, as soon as we pull up, there was Gary Spots, and then Billy Schilling, PJ. I mean, and it's just like it's just like these people. It was
Yep.
crazy.
And it was so bad, PJ, that I had talked to the Woodwalkers crew so much. I walked up and never had met any of them. I think Greg. I've been down to his place, but there's JR and Misty there getting camp ready. Or she's cooking bacon or something, and somebody intercepted me and like, hey Roger, hey, and I'm hey, what's going on? And I looked at JR and Misty and I kind of nodded. I'm like, hey y'all, and didn't speak. I just nodded and I walked off over where we were set up, and I'm like, oh, I got to go back over there, Heather. She said, why? I said, I didn't speak to JR and Misty because it's like I knew them already.
Yeah.
And I walked over. I said, y'all, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. We exchanged hugs, shook hands. And I know y'all, it sounds crazy, but it's the same way like this past weekend. It's yeah, you talking about me, Pyro? So Pyro sneaks up on me. He's sneaky. He drove from Oklahoma, and I look around, and I knew a little bit about him. And I look around, and I know what he does for work. And I saw this jacket, and I'm looking at him, and he's not a little feller. I look up at him, and I'm like, hey, Then all of a sudden it hits me. I'm like, I jumped up, Pyro. I know. I said, you're Pyro, right? He said, yes. And what was funny, there were people that walked up, and we were sitting there. There were people that would walk by I've never seen in my life. And they wouldn't even say hi. They'd look at Hunt, our dog, and say, hey, honey, and walk off. And Heather's like, who is that? I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know who that is. And some of them I
your
never
dog somehow.
Yeah, because of the videos on the channel. We let her run, and Pyro's famous. But the main thing is it's the good people, and we know we can trust each other when we're together. You know what I'm saying? Like if something would have come out and got on Paul, Misty would have fought a bear. You know what I mean? So it's just, and then Catherine come up, McSwain. She came up and she said, I think they're from Ohio. Her and her husband came up and she said, I like listening to your accent. And I'm like, oh Lord, I cannot stand to, Yeah. Hey, y'all. Why some of y'all are in here? Some of you don't have blue wrenches anymore. It's temporary. I had something happen. I'm testing it, and you're going to be added back slowly. So, um, unfortunately, we've had some things happen, and not if you don't have your blue wrench, it doesn't mean I think you're involved in it. Okay. So please don't get offended. We're going to take care of it. But anyway, um, yeah. So Amanda talks about and Ashley talk about synchronicity and all this stuff, and that meet and greet. For us to meet each other, everything had to line up. And I keep going back to the point where when I was 14 years old, that's 40 years ago, I saw that Bigfoot walk out in front of me. And because that happened, we're talking right now. That's not lost on me. I don't know. I never thought I would be doing this at all. So, uh, what's been the best part for y'all about actually coming out and telling your story and
Meeting people.
Meeting everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I told somebody, the other day. I said, we might never, find answers, that we're looking for. But at the end of the day, we found family. And that's all
Right.
it matters. So.
And
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, if something steps in that window back there, I'm headed to the living room. Y'all finish the show. So I can't. But I keep looking back there, y'all. It's like, Paul, I'm not looking at your shoulder. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, I didn't see anything. It's just I've noticed that I could. But
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
Very
you
well.
could.
Yeah.
so after the initial sighting, and it changed what y'all do. I don't really, the scary stuff happens, but what's the most intense thing after that as far as it been? There you go. She found it.
Oh, okay.
Y'all go give them a sub. And hey, any of y'all techies, help her out because I can help some, but if I'm not looking at it,
Yeah.
everybody's helped me. I'm the most. It's a wonder that I'm actually doing this. So, what have you had any intense things happen?
I mean, for
Sorry, I
me,
muted myself so it wasn't over getting double there. So yeah, got that straight for you. Or I thought I'd add it in the chat. I heard them saying they couldn't get to it. I was like, hang on a second. I know I'm trying to do the show with y'all, but hang on, I'll get this real quick.
We
So there it is for you.
I had to take some blue wrenches for a minute, and people were trying to help, and they couldn't do it. So sorry, y'all. They'll come back.
Which Paul hasn't never really experienced anything that was not scary. I'm the one that always catches the breathing or the knocks, which I mean he's heard the knocks, but like the deep breaths, the grunts. It's all kind of seems like it's towards me. So
right. Well, that kind of makes sense because we've all heard how curious a lot of them can be, and Greg. I think Greg right now has some curious ones that are coming up and slapping the side. And when you say slapping the side, I mean shaking the the house and slapping. And one night he had one. I see y'all's roof is a lot different. And he had one jump up on the roof and run across and stop right over him where he was at. And then took off and ran to where a tree was at. And the tree, y'all, I can't hardly squeeze in between it and the wall. And it ran right to that tree and slid down that tree. And we found some evidence. When something slides down a pine tree, it'll take some material with it sometimes or whatever. And down in the pine needles under there, it definitely was disturbed. So,
well, we was playing cards here. We had family in, and something slapped the house. And see, our house is got concrete from about
22 foot back.
22 foot back. About where I'm sitting back is concrete, and we all heard it hit the house, and so I turned my camera back there. I can do it from my phone. Well, then after I turned the camera, it slapped in the other direction, opposite direction of the camera. It knew I turned that camera.
It's amazing how they know that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think this is on a lot of people's mind. Debbie says, "Did you ever think of moving?" Or
I don't.
Yeah.
okay,
I don't, and she don't either. So.
Well, I mean,
I mean, they'd have to really get bad
Yeah.
before, I guess they
Yeah.
could put us out of here, but it's going to have to be pretty mean.
yeah, I can't comment because I'm in a totally different situation, thank goodness, than y'all are. Now, we might have an opportunity down the road to build in the North End hotspot, and I don't know from talking to y'all and Greg and Flat Rock. I feel like we're okay now, but you never know for sure, because that's another. Then you take it to another level and you start tearing ground up and building in the area, because we found out I don't know the reason, but I know that they were throwing fits because just on the other property they had started scraping the ground to build a house. And what was odd was the mischievous stuff was beforehand, and the violent stuff was when that started. But they were throwing stuff, but they weren't throwing it at us. But it was big enough we knew it was being thrown.
Yeah.
And we started backing off. But so I don't know whether to. I don't know if we have that opportunity whether to do that or not. And
see, the way I look at it, and this is just the way I look at it, you've got this that you have to deal with, but there's also people that's just as bad. I've dealt with that as well.
Yep.
And the way I look at it, I mean, this may be, kind of sound morbid, but if that's my way to go, it's going to be my way to go.
PJ, you've come a long way since the first time I heard you tell your story.
Well,
You think Paul? Have you seen it? I mean, when she told her story, I mean, I'm talking about. Have you seen the change in her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because all right, let me ask you this: do you think? I know it's still hard, but do you think that this group of people that we have here has helped you deal with this?
Yes.
Because I know y'all talked to Greg, right? Some and okay.
Well, and then me even doing my own channel has helped. Just talking about it. I always think sometimes I'll just put up a little which I don't do real long videos, but it helps me just to talk about it. If something happens, I want to talk about it. That's helped me a lot too. But just being with like-minded people and knowing that, if I had a question, all I got to do is call Greg or whoever, and
I know what you're doing. Like I recognize, when we do a live real quick or whatever, when PJ does a live, I'm putting words in your mouth. Let me know if I'm wrong. But a lot of time when something happens, even if it's slight, when we go live for a little bit, we're kind of documenting so we can have record of it.
Yeah.
We're letting you know what's going on, but also like, hey, because when you do a live, you got a timestamp, and if somebody asks you, well, when did that happen? Well, you can go back and say, well, it happened right here, and you're talking to your friends, but we're also putting information out, hopefully to help people too. It helps us, but it's hopefully to help everybody else too.
Exactly.
What's kind of crazy for me though is like when I do when I've been doing these little walks and going out, I mean, I'm not doing them live because I don't have any phone service. I'm just literally talking to a phone. But for some reason, that even helps, just to talk to the phone. That's crazy.
No.
But,
well, you think about this. Years ago, we have sweet tea and back porches, front porches. People would gather and talk their problems. And now we don't have as much of that. And I think as humans, we crave the interaction.
Mhm.
And to
I
me,
agree.
this is what takes the place of that.
Yeah.
And we jokingly say it all the time. When Amanda first came on board, I'm like, hey, we're laid back. We're just like sitting on the back porch drinking tea. And that's the way it is. That's the way I want it to be. So we'll have some experts on sometimes that we'll have to really get in there and interview and do a lot of preparation for it. But I'm gonna make some people mad. To be honest with you, I love this type right here more than anything. So
Yeah.
oh, listen to this. Ken missed this. Here we go. Pam and Paul, do y'all have quartz at your place? Sorry for discussing already, and I missed it. Me and him have been discussing that a lot. And Ken,
So maybe
Paul,
just a little bit.
yeah, Paul said they have so much that when it rains or the sun comes up, you can see it sparkling all over the hills.
Yeah.
So they have
I got a question for you, Miss Pam. What made you decide to start sharing the scary encounter, I'm calling it, publicly?
Good question.
Because we've talked about it, talking about it, and I'm in the same boat. Talking more about your experiences, helps.
Yeah.
At first, you don't think it's going to, but it does eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Probably watching Carrie Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And listening to his encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was probably what made me decide that I wanted to, tell what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my encounter is not just I was in my pool and I seen one. Mine involves a guardian angel, which makes me look even crazier,
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's just what happened. And it was hard. It was hard for me to tell it because I thought people's going to think I'm nuts,
I feel you.
But, I mean, that's what happened. So
I go back to the first time. I just felt like it was time, and I had an opportunity fell in my lap, and I made that phone call and wouldn't shut up. I was talking 100 miles an hour. Thought the guy was gonna hang up on me, and but what's odd, what I just realized, I came along after Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who he was. The guy told me, like, you need to go watch this. How many people, y'all? I know Miss Diane, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you tell your story? Did Carrie read your story? I didn't know the man, but I have watched a lot of his stuff, and the way he calmly, he had a way to make people feel that to trust him, and he was good at what he did. And
real good.
Now since you said that, and I know the people that have been, she said, I remember her first interview on Carrie's show. There's a lot of branches off the Carrie Arnold tree.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of them. Miss Diane is.
Yep.
I am, but not directly attached because of the guy that was. See, and when you people don't think I can't make a difference. Well, no, you can. You can't. You won't if you don't do anything. But you can. I could start a show and 2 people watch it, and that's it. But if one of those people finds comfort out of it, then it was totally worth it. So
agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people, man, I'm telling you. The first time I went to his encounter, and I was on the edge of my seat. Like, his was different than mine. Mine was not. I wasn't in the position he was. Thank God. But y'all, if you're new and you don't know who Carrie Arnold was, just Google his name. Just type his name into YouTube, and I may start watching maybe one a week just to refresh. I haven't watched all of them, but I love the way he would go in people's homes, and sit down with them and turn the camera on and just kind of lean back and talk to them and let them tell. Did he come to y'all, or were you? Did y'all do it like this?
Yeah.
No,
No, we told our encounter first, and we didn't show our faces or anything the first time. But then he came out here and stayed 3 days, and a lot of stuff happened. And then after that, we went on and we showed ourselves on there. But everything he filmed was lost. So whenever
Right.
we had wrecked, so
That's it's a sad story, but what it makes you realize is what I guess I was thinking about some of that stuff one day, and I said, it's important. I feel it's important for the future to document, and I'm thinking about writing things down. I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's what we're doing.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the new way of documenting, and
Exactly. Just like we did last night, it was a way of documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Miss Diane, I thought I talked to Diane about that early on when I first started doing this. That he read her story, 2 different times,
Mm-hmm.
and what that does. And this is what I get all the time, and you'll get this when you start, asking people to come on and more if you do that. Well, I didn't have that scary of an encounter. All right, I didn't last but like 4 seconds, but y'all, that 4 seconds changes your life.
Yeah.
That 4
and
seconds becomes an eternity.
yes, and that 4 seconds could influence 24 people that could influence 1,200 people. So
Yeah.
tell, and I know you got to feel comfortable, but tell it. Just just get it out there, and you'll be surprised. I'm talking to the people that are new, and I don't know if there's many in here, but we have quite a bit of people here right now. Just get off your back. You get it off your back and get away from it. It might, and you will be surprised. I did not expect that part of it. Pam, the reason I've gone on this rant is I've seen the change in you because I haven't really watched. I try to watch everybody, but I remember seeing one of your first ones, and the lady I'm seeing right now is a whole lot stronger.
Yeah.
In a good way, you know what I'm saying? So, I'm proud for you.
Well, it's taken a while, and I mean, I'm still scared, but
oh yeah. Here's Greg. Greg's proud. He feels connected to y'all because y'all are in the woods with him. I remember after seeing mine, I was always a kid. I had my bed slid up next to the wall, and I would lay against the wall. It's kind of a comfort thing. And after I saw mine, I become a middle of the bed sleeper. and because in my kid's mind, I say kid, 14, something that big could like reach through the trailer wall and just snatch you out, So.
Yeah. Well,
always just made sure to keep the curtains closed at night. Nothing could see if I couldn't see it, it couldn't see me.
So you talking about both? Go ahead.
I was gonna say somebody else though that impacted me, and I hope she doesn't mind if I say it. But when I heard Katie G tell her story for the first time on Bigfoot Odyssey, I cried because I felt her pain, and that was another big motivation for me to start trying to do my own thing. I'm not good at it. I'm not tech savvy at all. I just do it the way I know how to do it. But I think of her quite often. And I think about her being a child and this happening and how it's affected her entire life. And that right there, has helped push me to, because I do not like being in front of a camera. I don't even like having my picture taken. I don't like hearing myself talk. I mean, I'm the one that when there's a picture going to be taken, I'm like trying to scoot in the back. So this is like a really hard for me to get in front of a camera. I don't like it at all. But her encounter, plus many others, but hers for some reason stuck with me, and it's really motivated me. So I wanted to make you know that. So
well, we had the honor of hanging out with Katie G this past weekend, and her husband came up, and just blended right in. I mean, we were talking, and she was sitting there when I was looking. I was sitting down. Of course, I sat a lot this weekend, and she's sitting on the bed of our truck, and I'm looking past her. That's the first time I saw the red light. She turns around and she sees it, and she gets the hell out of Dodge. And I understand it. And she told me, "I'm sorry we had to leave. I'm just a big chicken." No, it's fine, you know. But she saw it, which I was glad that she confirmed, and she explained it just like what I was saying. So, oh man, yeah, they're awesome. Her and her husband are awesome.
They are. I got to meet them briefly as they were traveling down there. So yeah, I wish I could meet all of everybody here more.
Well, I mean, we're going to keep you informed on some of the get-togethers and stuff, and look, going to the conferences, that's one way, but the fun and the fellowship is had later or before.
Yeah.
You'll get to meet the people that you've seen on a podcast or you've read their book or get to hear them talk about some of their studies, and that's cool. And I've fanboyed a few times. I met a few people and like, hey, thank you for doing what you do. But the real fun is sitting and eating or being out in the woods in the middle of nowhere and just being yourself. You can be yourself, and nowadays that's a hard thing to do sometimes, especially when we have stories like we do. Because I've done the same thing, Pam. I'm like, I've told y'all before. I'm in my head. I'm telling my story. I'm like, Roger, shut up, shut up, shut up. but if you're doing it for the right reasons and all, it's you don't care. You don't care about the naysayers. And sometimes when you get confident enough, you kind of laugh at them like, okay, big boy, just wait till you see something like that. Yep. But anyway, we're coming up on 1 hour and 42 minutes, and we try to keep them under 2 hours, only because we can do things with the video and re-show it and do the little, y'all see the little shorts. That's something Pam will be doing later. You can, I'll do it for you. Is there anything that y'all want us to know, like anything you've been doing or something to look out for? Or tell people about your channel, what plans you have.
I'd like to try to do a live with a guest, but Greg offered to be the guinea pig. So,
hey,
I'd be glad to come on and interview with you guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, anytime you want to, grab Greg and Amanda, and if you have time for me, I'll gladly come on. I feel comfortable with y'all, so I would be happy.
My problem is just figuring out how to do everything. So
it's a learning curve, trust me.
Especially when you're not tech savvy. So
we can talk about that. Amanda has learned what I did. I just made her co-host, and now she can go in and do things on the channel. And it's here's what you do. It's just do like I did. You just got to do it. And the people, everybody, your family here will understand.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you noticed that a lot of times I don't have a title, it's just testing the mic, so. And sometimes that turns into a heck of a show.
Oh, it just said test, and Roger wasn't even looking at the camera, and he turned around. He's, oh my God, there's 20 people watching.
It was on. How did that happen? I'm glad I had a shirt on and stuff. I'm like, I swear I was just gonna. I was trying to test where you film it and then do it later. Where like you could have a guest on and then you could edit it and all that. That's for people who know what they're doing. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm looking around, and I look up in the counter. I was like, "Oh Lord, is this thing on?"
There was like a bunch of people like waiting, just watching Roger move around. It was funny.
Yeah. So what I'm telling you is, we all will, for that, join in and help. And if you want to test out and try to test a guest, don't not do it because you don't know. If I'm in chat and you got a guess and I can help you in some way, I'll do it. Shut up, Greg.
Greg's got me rolling now.
Shut up, Greg. You ain't supposed to know that. Do I have my Speedos? I don't have my Speedos on this time. But they're
Oh my goodness.
they're swimming trunks. That's the brand. So people make fun of me. They say, I saw Roger in a Speedo, and they're like, oh Lord. But they're men's swimming trunks. So
Yeah.
Greg, you ain't supposed to tell everything. So but anyway, the time goes so fast.
It does. It really does go fast.
Yeah.
And we appreciate y'all. And I'm proud to see how you've handled everything. And I know it's still not easy. Shut up, Pyro. But I love our chat, but I tell Greg all the time, I try not to look at our chat.
Yeah.
Because I appreciate y'all being patient with me.
Hey, Billy.
And y'all go subscribe to their channel because we can help them, help them with this. And I know how gracious y'all have been when I've been testing and didn't know what I was doing. They're great, Pam. Just tell us what you're doing and we'll jump in there if we're available. So
Absolutely.
So Amanda, you have any questions before we go?
Not that I can think of. Like I said, I could hit you with more questions, but we're running out on time. So we can always save some more for later. Just thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure to meet you guys, even if it's just been through the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If any of y'all ever in North Georgia, stop at the Expedition Bigfoot Museum and say hi to Amanda. Hillary done got started.
I want to do one thing while I'm out there.
Okay.
What's that?
Today's my mother's birthday, and she's watching this.
Oh, yes, please let's shout out to her.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Her name is Sarah Louise. Everybody calls her Louise, but
well, happy
Miss
birthday,
Louise.
Miss Louise.
Yes, ma'am. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, darling.
Um,
there it goes. It's always backwards on the mirror.
Well, do you know that you can mirror that and make it right?
Yeah.
Look, because early on, like I tried to touch my mic and I'd be reaching over here, and somebody told me in chat.
I forgot to do it this time before I turned the screen on, so I'm like, oh well, we're running it.
And Amanda, will you close us out with singing "Happy Birthday"? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I can if you want me to.
No, well, y'all do whatever you want to. I can't sing, so. But she's getting a lot of happy birthdays in the chat.
Yeah, the chat is blowing up with happy birthdays. You can see them all in the bottom corner over here.
That's cool.
It's little bitty on my screen, so I can't see nothing.
It'll be good and big once you see it on like a TV or something.
Yeah, and another thing, PJ, like after this show is over, I can't go back and look at chat. But tomorrow, after it goes through all its checks, I can start playing it. And this goes for everybody else too. If you want to see what happened in live chat, there's the first one will show, it'll say comment. So if you comment, it goes to something different tomorrow. But if you push and scroll over, it'll go to live chat. Now, when you hit play, it will show up live at the same timestamp that everybody talked. So you can go back and you can make moderators. You can go back and see, like if you miss something, you're like, okay, well, there's okay. And then send them a message. Thank you for saying that. I missed it. I'm sorry. So all right, y'all. Thank you so much. These are my favorite ones. We will see y'all at some point. And
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And thanks everybody in chat. We'll holler at y'all later.
Amanda, thanks for keeping me straight. I already missed one show.
I'll try. No guarantees, but I'll try.
All right. What's Greg say? Big love to everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
By the flickering campfire, tales come alive. of a creature in the shadows where legends survive. In Fouke, Arkansas, down in Monster Mart's glow, they saw the beast in 72. The stories still grow. Oh, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, skunk ape too. Through history's pages we've been watching you. From cave-drawn echoes to the Smoky Mountain Dew. By the fire we swear the stories are true. In Bluff Creek, California, Sipstick 7's fame. Patterson caught you on film, etched your name. Salt Fork Park in Ohio, where the woods whisper low. Folks swear they hear your footsteps in the moonlit snow. Oh, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, skunk ape too. Through history's pages we've been watching you. From cave-drawn echoes to the Smoky Mountain Dew. By the fire we swear the stories are true. Appalachia's old trails, hear your lonesome cry. Oklahoma's dense woods, Sierra Nevada's peaks. Your shadow moves silent, it's the mystery we seek. Cave drawings in the stone from a time long past show a towering figure, intelligence vast. Not just a beast, but a mind that knows, hiding in the wild where the ancient wind blows. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Roams free, a whiff of the wild in the cypress tree. From the Everglades murk to the campfire's glow, we pass down the tales, let